President Assad issues a decree calling upon the People's Assembly to hold its first meeting next Thursday. And Tunisian terrorists admit that they were smuggled into Syria by the militias of the so-called Free Army in coalition with Al-Qaeda and other extremist terrorists. Rasmussen says that the ideal way to find a solution in Syria is through the Annan plan. Good afternoon. President Bashar al-Assad issued decree number 172 of 2012, calling on the People's Assembly to hold its first meeting for this session next Thursday, May 24th, 2012. Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim received Mr. Hervé Ladossos, Assistant of the UN Secretary General for Peace Processes. He told Mr. Ladossos that the UN could not claim to be concerned about the destiny of nearly 1 million Syrian victims of terrorism while ignoring the targeting of the remaining 23 millions by the Euro-American sanctions that harmed the life of every Syrian citizen. Mr. al-Muallim asked Mr. Ladossos to convey this problem to the World Organization. A group of fanatic calling itself Jabhat al-Nusra, related to the terrorist organization of Al-Qaeda, admitted its responsibility for the suicide terrorist explosion in Deir Ezzor 2 days ago. The admission was published on an internet website that the explosion led to the death of 9 people, the wounding of nearly 100 others, and great material damage. This front had also admitted before its responsibility for the 2 terrorist explosions in Al-Qazzaz on May 10th. Those explosions caused great material damage and left hundreds of people dead and wounded. It also admitted responsibility for other terrorist explosions in Syria. Security forces attacked a hideout for terrorists in Al-Aradi neighborhood in the city of Deir Ezzor. Various kinds of weapons were seized there during the attack, including 6 Russian machine guns, RPG launchers, explosive devices, and other military equipment. And in related context, in Sahm al-Bahr area to the south of Banias city, security forces found a weapons store in the village Al-Qrir. The weapons seized include RPG launchers, Israeli snipers, and modern communication sets. Tunisian terrorists smuggled into Syria in coalition with the militias of the so-called Free Army linked to the terrorist organization of Al-Qaeda admitted that they were trained in Libya, then they were smuggled into Syria through extremist fanatics. More in the following.
من مواليد 12/5/1992 من قرية منزل كامل ولاية المنستير.
I was born in the Monastir province in Tunisia. I read books by Saudi fanatic authors Ibn Baz and Ibn Uthaymin and got acquainted with several young men, including a Lebanese person calling himself Abu Hadi. We spoke about jihad and the situation of the nation. He instigated me through video films about Al-Qaeda and Al-Jihad. I told him I was the only son of my parents. He gave me a fatwa that sons should go out for jihad without the permission of their parents. He then told me that he would take me to Syria for jihad. He bought me a ticket to Turkey. I went to Istanbul, where he gave me the phone number of somebody called Abu Ahmad. This man, Abu Ahmad, told me to go to Antioch, where a man took me in a car to an area at the Syrian-Turkish border. There, we met 5 people from Bangladesh and stole with them into Syria on foot across mountainous paths. In Syria, we met many persons who fought in Afghanistan, the Shishan, Iraq, and Lebanon. We were taken to a camp belonging to the Free Army to be trained.
I was born in Tunis in the year 1980. We saw TV channels instigating against the Syrians and calling upon the terrorists to go to Syria or face torture and hell. I went to Libya to receive training. I moved from Tripoli to Benghazi, where I joined a camp of a Jihad Salafi group. When I returned to Tunis, my friend Usama gave me the phone number of a Syrian, Abu Ahmad, from Al-Qaeda organization. Abu Ahmad ordered me to travel to Turkey. There, he ordered me to go to Antioch, where he sent me somebody in a car who took me to a house of 3 smugglers. They took me in the car across the mountains onto the Syrian-Turkish borders. We were taken to a group in Homs, led by a number of the Qaeda organization people in collusion with the Free Army.
اسمي سهيل بن زهير السقسلي والدتي اسمها منيا من مواليد 8/8/1986.
I was born in Tunis in 1986. Last August, I was watching space TV channels and listening to the fatwa of Al-Qaradawi, Al-Ar'ur, and Abdullah al-Sheikh. I decided to go to Libya to take part in jihad against the regime of Al-Qaddafi. After going back to Tunis, I watched events in Syria as described by Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, and France 24. They called for jihad against the Syrian army. The imams of the mosques also called for jihad. I met someone called Abu Isa and told him that I wished to go to Syria. He asked me to go to Antioch, where I found someone who took me to the Syrian-Turkish border on foot across mountains area. A car took me to Latakia, where I met the leading member of Al-Qaeda called Abu Ahmad. He told me that I would be taken to a jihadi group related to the Free Army.
A group of UN observers visited Al-Khalidiyya neighborhood in Homs, while another group visited Al-Khrita village in Deir. Another team of observers visited Al-Rafat town in the countryside of Aleppo. The observers also visited the city of Douma and Harasta police hospital in Damascus countryside. A UN observer team also visited Douma and Zabadani cities in Damascus countryside. In Hama, a UN observer delegation visited the National Hospital and the War Bilal suburb and Ashiha village in Martyred countryside, where they met with citizens there, as Qalbiya police chief and the mayor. For the second consecutive day, huge demonstrations broke out in Istanbul and other Turkish cities to condemn the policies of the Government of Justice and Development Party led by Recep Tayyip Erdogan over the files concerning the Arab region and in support of Syria, rejecting foreign interference in its affairs. Representatives of the Turkish Arab youth participated in the demonstration, which was held on the occasion of the Youth Day, highlighting victory and unity. Demonstrators chanted slogans rejecting the war and the policies that sow the seeds of sedition and foreign interference. Participants asserted that Erdogan has made Turkey a source of threat to the neighboring countries, while the youth want their country to be a place of solidarity with Syria, Palestine, and the people of the region. NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen said that the only way to reach a solution in Syria is through the plan of UN envoy Kofi Annan. In a press conference during the NATO summit in Chicago, Rasmussen said that the NATO supports Annan's plan, reiterating that the alliance has no intention to interfere in Syria. Rasmussen said, "We are concerned about the situation in Syria, but the alliance has no plans to interfere there." He called on taking into consideration the legitimate aspirations of the Syrian people. Minister of Education Dr. Saleh Al-Rashid held a meeting with Dr. Yasser Houriya, head of the Education Pioneers and Higher Education Office in the National Leadership of Al-Ba'ath Party, and the directors of education in the government race to discuss the measures taken for the exams this year. The meeting discussed mechanisms of rehabilitation of the schools which are affected by the terrorist attacks. Dr. Houriya asserted the vital role played by the workers in the education sector to accomplish the educational plans this year. Dr. Al-Rashid confirmed that the ministry has taken all necessary measures to make the exam process a success, pointing out that the ministry will annul the results of any exam centers in which any kind of fraud is witnessed. With this, we end our bulletin for today. Thank you for watching. For more news, log on to our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Up next, the latest in business and marketing.